Hey, Grace and Peace fam, this is Charles here with another Midweek Recharge. And this week I want to talk to you about the irony of the prodigal son. Now, the prodigal son is a parable that Jesus used to teach about the expansion of God's kingdom. Specifically, Jesus was speaking to some religious leaders and trying to illustrate the idea that God's kingdom is for everyone. And so the prodigal son, the one that gets his money and goes off and gets caught up in this consumer driven a culture and mindset and spends all he has and eventually returns home in a worse state than when he left, was describing those individuals that that left sort of God's fold, God's kingdom, and have come back. And Jesus was coming to kind of share this message and bring everyone back into God's kingdom, not just the Jewish leaders and not just the Jewish people, but all people. And what's interesting about the tale, the parable of the prodigal son and its irony, is that it was speaking directly to you and I in our consumer-driven, capitalistic-centric culture. We live in a culture where we are driven and marketed and promoted to spend as much as we can spend and to spend more, candidly, than we can afford to spend. We live in a culture and a society that values consumption over pretty much anything else. And the irony is that every time we see mass consumption, particularly in these sort of illustrated tales like the ones that Jesus used, you're always worse off than when you started. We don't learn a lot about contentment and sort of valuing living beneath our means, valuing using our resources to serve and help others as opposed to serving and supporting ourselves or consuming for ourselves, getting more stuff. So my challenge to you this week is to think about what you consume and how often you consume and if that's the best use of your resources. Are you consuming from organizations that value righteousness? There is a such thing as righteous capitalism. It's organizations that pay a fair, reasonable wage, that promote sustainable, safe working conditions, and that value the environment in which we all live. Are you working and promoting righteous companies, or are you just consuming to consume? Let that be your recharge.